Hey everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. As you may have picked up by now, I am well into pregnancy and planning for my baby shower. In today's video, I am making the cake topper for my shower. We are going to be using acrylic from Cerulean Tides, and we're going to be designing in Silhouette Studio and creating this beautiful flower background with a three-dimensional word on top. I'm really excited about this. So if you want to know more about Glowforge, or if you want to make sure you don't miss any more uploads, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And don't forget, you can use the link below to save up to $500 on a new machine. Hello friends, I'm in Silhouette Studio. We're going to design the cake topper for my baby shower. I am in Business Edition. If you're new to the channel, I design in Silhouette Studio. If you want to export for SVG, you need the Business Edition upgrade. It's a one-time fee. I highly recommend it. You can find it, the link in my description. But this is what I design in. I think this software is the most user-friendly so far, and I love it. I am having a 9-inch cake. I am going to make a topper that is 6 inches wide. And this is going to be a round topper. I'm going to go over to the left to the drawing tools, and I'm going to choose the ellipse tool. Now, I want to make a perfect circle, so I'm going to hold down Shift, click and drag, and this allows me to create a perfect circle. I'm not worrying about the dimensions right now. I like to manually type them in. On the top right here is your quick access toolbar. You can see here some dimensions right here. I'm just going to go over here, hit 5, then hit enter. So now we know that this is the size of my topper. I'm going to go right here, choose this, and now I need to bring in my floral design. We're going to go over, I found it on my computer. I will link this floral design that I'm using. I am using a single line design. So what that means is it's a file that's made for things like foil quill, embossing, but it works particularly well for the score feature in Glowforge. We're going to go right here to Floral Circle, and I'm going to open it right in this document because this is going to be the background to my topper. So you can see here are the lines. If you're used to vector cutting, if you double click on it, you'll notice that there are a ton of points and a ton of open ends, and that's because these are just lines. This is not something that you can use on a vinyl cutter because it's just going to go through. It won't actually cut these shapes for you. This is going to be the background of my topper. I'm going to make this bleed all the way out. I'm going to have this design go all the way to the edge. And I'm going to take both of these, click and drag, and then this button right here at the top, it's center. This will center both items on top of each other. This is kind of what we're working with. I have right now, if you look at these designs or these items, I'm going to fill in this circle so you can visualize what we're working with. The foil quill, the single line design, is on top of my circle. My circle is going to be my cut line, but I also need to use it to trim this excess off of here. You can certainly just go ahead and leave it and have it go past your design, but I don't really want to do that. I'm going to hover over my circle. I'm going to make sure my hand is only touching my circle. Hold down the Alt button. This makes a copy. Click one time, but don't move anything. Click. Now we made a circle, okay? We have 2 circles on top. They're kind of making a sandwich to the foil design, the single line design. I'm going to use this circle to cut off the excess of this line design. I'm going to hold down Shift while the circle's still selected, click on my line design, and we're going to go to the Modify panel over here on the right. Okay, so you kind of see we have all of this going on right here. We are going to choose crop. This is going to crop that line design to the shape of what I have on top. We'll do crop. What happens is it does crop it, breaks it apart, but because this is a single foil line design, it doesn't just delete them. We're going to go through and kind of find these areas outside of it and delete it. This may take a couple minutes, but trust me, it's worth it. I think it makes everything a lot easier. Okay, so I went ahead and did that. You'll notice that I have a couple lines, that go outside my circle still. We have this sometimes when we have single line designs, kind of like when you go and crop it out, it doesn't fully like cut the design. Parts of that element that you like are still in this circle. If I have a couple stray lines that go outside my cut area, then, you know, whatever, I'm not concerned about it. I'm just going to leave these right here. I'm going to click this to show our whole workspace. To make it easier, I'm going to go ahead and change the line color to my background to black, and I'm going to change my background to like a really light color because it's going to be a clear acrylic. So you can see we have these in here, and then we have certain sections in here that are filled in because they were completed lines. Let's go ahead, grab this entire design. I'm going to hold down Shift to get my circle. Everything selected as part of the flower. I'm going to group it, Control G group, and then I'm going to take out any fill that might be in it so that we have just this simple design right here. Okay. Now this is the background. Let's go ahead and I'll make it, you know, I'll make it black just to do that. This is the background. This is what's going to score. So you can even take this and send it to the back for now, so you can only see the circle. I'm going to keep it up front because I'm going to be working with this for my text. I'm going to go ahead and have this say Baby Pots. I'm going to use the same look and font as I did for the welcome sign. We're going to type baby. I'm going to select it all by doing Control A. And I'm going to choose a font called Gatkins. Okay, let's fill this in like pink, just so we have it over here. Right, so let's make it a little bit larger. It's going to go in here, and then I'm going to make a copy, hover over it, Alt, click, drag, and do pots. All right, I've been setting it up like this. I'll show you my example. Actually, I think it's right here. This is what we have. Realistically, I can just copy and paste that, but I'm trying to show you what we're doing. We're going to go right here, and I'm not going to weld yet. I'm going to group it together, and I'll show you why in just a minute. When we put this on here, we're going to have it inside of our topper, and I'm going to grab the circle and my text, and I'm going to center it right on there. Now I have this centered in my circle. And whenever I'm cutting acrylic, especially for a font like this, you have to remember that you're going to lose some of your acrylic. Like with the laser, with cutting, there's, you know, it's like shrinkage, it's like the burn away. When you have a thin font like this, it can become very brittle and hard to read. And whenever I do a font like this, I always thicken it using the offset. It's going to look weird in here, bubbly, but trust me, when it cuts, it looks really good. We're going to go over to the offset panel. That's the star. Choose offset. You can see it's starting out really big because my last one was for the welcome sign. It was very large. We're going to start small, 0.02. You can hit enter to preview it. I'm going to hit apply. And then I'm going to carefully click right in the center. I can move my original through and see how it looks. So you can see it looks a little bit, you know, bigger. I'm going to group it together. But I think I can do a larger offset. Let's do offset 0.04. Hit apply. So now you can see when we move it out, it looks a lot thicker. However, we're losing the inside of some of our letters. We don't really want that. This is a trick that I do a lot of times with script fonts. I'm going to go through over here, select the inside part. I am going to right click, make compound path. That turns it into one big object. Let me fill it back in so you can see it. So you can see you don't want to do this if you're actually cutting it because you have these gaps in here. But I'm doing it to make I'm making it a compound path so that I can right click it and release it. What this does is it gets rid of all these individual lines and have them just kind of be treated differently, have them sit on top. Now I can go through and delete these major areas, and as I'm doing this, I remember that I kind of made a mistake. You want to weld it beforehand because then you can delete all this stuff at once, but it still works. I think that's fine. Let's see, I think the inside of the Y is fine. O, T, T, S, like obviously that's fine. And then you have this. I'm going to go ahead and leave that. And then you have the O. Okay? You have these inside openings that we can keep to make the insides more, like, easier to read. Well, tell. I'm going to hold down Shift, grab all of these inside pieces by clicking on them. I'm going to do Control G group. If I have these grouped together, we're going to do another modify. I'm going to hold down Shift, grab this background, Go to the modify panel and subtract. Oops, it didn't get that last one. Now let's go ahead. Oh, I didn't have these grouped. So hold on, group your background. Now click on your little inside parts, hold down shift, grab your background and subtract. Now they're broken apart because they're not touching. I'm just going to go through, do Control G, group it together, and then we're all good. And then we lost this little inside piece. Not worried about it. It's not going to make it anyway, like when we go and cut. All right, so let's move this out of the way. And let's fill this in white. This will be white acrylic. And so that's going to go right on there. Okay. This is going to have this floral background right here. And this is going to be scored on the back, and this acrylic will go on top. We could go ahead and start setting it up like this, or you can even optimize a little bit and create space behind that score line so that your baby pots will stand out more. It's a personal preference. I don't think it really matters either way, but I do like to create space. Let me show you how that works. I use my font here, and I'm going to do another offset. So when you're designing, offsets are something you use very often. I'm going to do offset. Even this distance right here is really good. So I'm going to hit apply. Now my offset is what's selected right now. I'll hold down shift, grab this design in the background. We'll go to our modify panel and subtract. What subtract does is it takes out what's behind that object, kind of like a cookie cutter. Now don't forget, this is not one big object, it's a bunch of lines, so that's why we have this processing going on. Let me quickly hit Control G to group all those lines together. But look, now you can see where that was. I just pointed with my finger. Where that was is a little bit open. It kind of creates just a little bit of a buffer space between that, but also it makes it a lot easier to find your placement when we put our acrylic on there. I'm going to change this foil quill line to a light pink because that's what will be. It doesn't matter that you can't really see it, whatever. And now we need to go through and just do the stick for our topper. I'm going to take my foil quill, my line outline, I'm going to right click, send it back, just so I don't accidentally click on it when I want to click on the circle. And now let's make our stick. We're going to go over to the shape tool on the left. Here's our rectangle tool. I'm going to click and drag. Not worrying about the dimensions. I always manually put mine in. But I need to manually set mine for both for both the width and the height. So the way that we do that is we're going to take this, unlock the ratio. I want my stick to be 0.125 wide, and then I want it to be 5 inches tall. Okay, so we have it set right here, and now we're going to bring it over to about where we're going to have it on our topper. Let's bring it down a little bit more. Click this, hold down shift, grab your circle, and then let's align it center. This will bring my stick to the center of that. And now all I'll have to do is grab this, grab my circle, weld. Now I have that. Let's right click, send backward. And now you can see here's our whole setup. Now we're ready to send this to Glowforge. This is going to be 2 sets of material, one for our our name, and then one for our clear acrylic topper. We are going to make sure we have different line colors for each function. That is how Glowforge reads the different functions. You can see we have it in here. Once I have that set, I'm going to select my entire design, go to File, Save Selection. That'll save only what's selected, and then save to hard drive. This will be how you set it up. And don't forget, when you go through, you're going to check SVG, and you need the business edition upgrade for that. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I'll see you in just a minute while we set up our cuts. All right, I am uploading my cake topper file into Glowforge right now. You can see in the bottom right, it's processing. I'm going to let that go. I have clear acrylic loaded right now. I have clear acrylic from Cerulean Tides. That acrylic comes masked already, which makes things really easy. So before I do anything else, I'm going to hit these 3 dots here, set my focus, and click in my workspace. This just helps out to make sure I have the right camera view on this because the camera is a fisheye, so you have to know how far away it is for you to line up your items and to make sure you have the right power. We're going to go over here. I'm going to align my design inside the safe work area, which is within this gray line here. And now you can see you have all of our different functions in here. So the first thing is I'm going to take the baby pots and ignore it. That's going to be for our next cut. And I'm going to take this score that we're going to have and I'm going to drag it up to the top because this is going to be the first thing that we do. One thing to note is this right here, the score is going to go on the back of our topper. What I forgot to do before I exported is flip it or mirror it. I go ahead and do that now in Glowforge. You do need Glowforge Premium for that, but if you don't have it, you don't need to get it. Just do that step in your design software before you send it. So let's go over here. We're going to do score. And you can see we have all these different options in here. I'm going to do just a high quality setting for medium blue acrylic. And then cut. You can do a proof grade cut of medium blue acrylic, or you can program your own in here. I always have good luck with that, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the proof grade settings for medium blue acrylic. So we have all of that ready to go. Let's go ahead and print. And when we do a score, it's going to be a lot faster than an engrave because an engrave has to go back and forth. A score is literally your line passing through one time. So this will still take a little bit of time because it is an intricate design. You can see we have 13 minutes, almost 14 minutes. Let's go ahead and do that and I'll see you in just a minute. So my first cut is done. I've now loaded my machine with white acrylic. This is obviously a piece I've been using and it has 3M attached to it. Just like always, I'm going to set my focus, and while that's happening, I'm going to ignore those two functions that we just did, and now we're going to cut. I am going to be cutting using a preset that I put in here. It just works well for me. Speed at 120 and full power. So now you can see we have that coral color, which is the cut line, and we are just going to drag this over to maximize our space. As soon as that coral goes away, you know that we're out of our safe cut area. So we're just checking to make sure we have that within our usable material, and we're all set. Right, here is our acrylic base. You can see blank, and then this is the score line, and then we have our white that will be placed on there. I am actually going to go through and fill in this score line with some paint. I have two colors of paint. I have this Martha Stewart like watercolor whatever in peony. I don't know where I got it. I think I got it on clearance, but I like the pink on there, so that's why I have it. We have just a tiny bit there, and then I'm going to mix it with a little bit of vanilla. This is Michael's Craft Smart, just to like lighten it up a tiny bit, make it a little bit creamier. I'm not going to do a whole lot of paint because this won't require a lot of paint. Just enough to kind of get it in there. So it makes this like really nice light pink color. This is actually the same light pink that I have in my guest book for the shower as well. So we have that set over there, and we keep the masking on. So this will allow all these areas to get paint, but the rest of my acrylic topper will not. So I'm just going to lightly tap to get the paint on. So you want to just do a little bit of paint at a time. Getting some on my desk, but I'll just wipe it off later. If you do the paint too thick, then it can bleed, and then you will get paint in areas that you shouldn't get. Now, if you do it when it's fresh, there's still a way to kind of get that paint off, but we don't want to have to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead, dot this in, dab this in, and you'll be able to tell too because it'll have like kind of like darker areas, and once you have the paint in there, that dark will go away in those lines. So you just want to make sure all those lines look pink, not like black or some dark area with that as well. So I'm just going to kind of brush it through. Actually, I think I do need more paint. So I'm not too concerned about it matching perfectly because, you know, I kind of like the variance. So we're going to do about the same amount as last time. And then we're just going to blend it, mix it. And then continue on. Alright, so now we can start peeling off the masking. And this we might need to wait until it's dry because you're going to have to I'm going to have to scrape this off with a plastic scraper. So let me just kind of lift a couple of these up so you can see the line. Cool. So let me hold this up so you can kind of see, hopefully it focuses in just a second. We have that thin line right there. So that'll be through the entire design. I'm going to let this sit for a few minutes because I want it to dry, and then I'll be using my plastic scraper from Cerulean Tides to just take all of that up. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, so I have all of the mask pieces off. You can see we have that beautiful design right there. So now we're ready to take off the masking on the other side, and we will be applying our acrylic to that side. So I'm going to very gently grab this masking, pull up, and if you do a 5-inch circle like this, I recommend making your stick a little bit wider than 0.125 because it feels like a little bit delicate. It'll be fine, but just be careful. All right, so I'm putting it on there so you can see the design. Like, look, it's gonna be hard for you to see, but look how beautiful that is. All right, so now we can place our text right here. It might get a little bit out of your shot for a second because I need to bring it closer to me so I can see. So let me see if I can adjust that camera. Okay. So I need to bring it closer to me. So we have our 3M right here. We'll go ahead and gently remove our 3M. All right, so we have that there. Now, because this is like a thin line design, it's like important, but not that important to get the right space because, you know, it's like so abstract. But I am looking for the gaps in here. There we go. There's our first one. And now let's set up our second one. All right. So I have my 3M up. So now we are going to find our placement with this. Cool. So we're all set there. So now you can just go ahead and take the paper masking off the front. I need to slam that down. All right. So here is, oops, the final look. So something that'll just look really nice and delicate, and I think it'll look really good on the cake. All right, guys, so here is our final cake topper. I think it looks really good in this light because it's catching the paint in there. This was using acrylic from Cerulean Tide, so this is clear and white. Check out the link in the description if you're watching within 30 days of this upload. There is a discount code for you. And we used this file from Design Bundles, so I'll go ahead and link that for you as well. You can see really beautiful design. It only took a few steps, and I love having this background without it being too busy. Like, it's busy but not too busy because of the score. So I think this is going to look really beautiful at the shower, and this will also be a beautiful piece if you wanted to do weddings, birthdays, or anything else like that. If you like this video, please give it a like. Please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more uploads. And don't forget, you can use the link in the description to save up to $500 on a new Glowforge.